What's up? So back with the Crusader bolts. Finally got my hands on them. Um, so we're just gonna take a look at them real quick. Now, when you purchase the Crusader bolt, I have the one for the MP5K and the MP5. When you purchase them, they're gonna come fully assembled with everything you see here, minus the tape. I put the tape on there because without it, it kind of rattles in the upper and it's annoying. So this will keep it centered and keep it quiet. I did that on the MP5 as well. And that's really the only modification I made to the bolt itself. I have put some rounds through it, so you will see some scuffs. I had to test it out. I had to make this little indent right here because when I tried to install the Bowmaster nozzle, the one that threads in from the side, it was too short, so I had to remove some material right there to get that to work. Also, on the MP5 bolt, here is the buffer, the recoil buffer. This spring is pretty weak on both of them, very weak, but I'll show you what I'm comparing it to when I'm done talking about the bolts. So on my MP5 bolt, I had to take an angle grinder and kind of just lay the bolt on it like that to shave away the size a little bit. This is really hard steel, so you don't have to worry about doing too much damage, but the reason I did that is because on my MP5, that little space between the hop-up unit and that fake trunnion, where the bolt goes inside of, it was too tight. Now, it wasn't an issue with the bolt, it was an issue with my MP5. That little space was too tight. It's been an issue before, like when I try to take the hop unit out and put it back in, I literally had to hit it with a mallet to get it back in. So I just want to mention it wasn't an issue with my bolt, but the easiest solution to get the bolt to work was to just remove the sides. Now, you'll know if you have that issue or not, because when I put the bolt wouldn't go into battery completely. It would stick out about like 5 millimeters, which is a lot. So if you purchase this bolt and it's not going in fully into battery, you probably have the same issue I have. I didn't have it on my MP5K, only my MP5, but I know it's an issue with the actual space between the receiver and that fake steel trunnion piece. Okay, so but other than that, this bolt, it works fantastic. So when I was talking about the recoil, the springs, they are super weak. So here's the K model. That's like super weak. This one feels a little bit stiffer, but that's because this little black spring right here is a lot stiffer than this spring. Now, the reason I'm saying it's weak. It's weaker. The reason I'm saying it's weaker is because if I were to compare the Crusader MP5K recoil spring to the Azimuth MP5K recoil spring, it's super stiff. That's a really hard spring. As well as the Angry Gun recoil spring for the MP5. I don't think you can get this one anymore. I think this went out of production a long time ago, but this is the Angry Gun. This is for the Gen 1 MP5, and as well as the Azimuth. This is also for the Gen 1 MP5 K. So those Crusader springs are a lot weaker than these two. Also, if you wanted the stiffest or the hardest springs you can get, these are from the Wii Apache. These are, it doesn't really translate on screen. You can't really see how hard I'm struggling to compress these springs, but they are super hard to compress. These are the hardest springs I've seen really in any airsoft gun. So yeah, so these are super stiff. I like these, but I'm not gonna run these simply because I want to keep everything like VFC, but I do have these. They do work. Okay, so let's talk about the bolts. When you purchase the bolt, this is the MP5K. We're just going to get some weights. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to weigh the bolt exactly how they would be, right? So this is the entire mass of the MP5K bolt from VFC and the MP5 bolt. Okay, so here is the Crusader MP5 bolt. Let's see how much it weighs. 191.5. Okay, now MP5 bolt by VFC 270. Okay, so there's that. Let's just say that's a I can't do math right now, but what is that, like 80? Yeah, we'll just say 80 grams difference between these two. Okay. Now, let's do MP5K. So here is the MP5K Crusader bolt, 170.6, and then VFC MP5K bolt. That was my glove farting. 214. So what is that? 44-gram difference. So 44-gram difference between the MP5Ks and 80-gram difference between the MP5s. Now, these bolts are artificially heavy, okay? And what I mean by that is you have this steel buffer right here. You have an O-ring. You have this steel weight or collar. And then you have this spring, okay? So if you remove all that stuff from the MP5 bolt, the stock VFC MP5 bolt, you're looking at 101.8 grams that you can remove from this guy, okay? And if you do that, then you can run this with the Crusader recoil system or one of the other recoil rods I had shown earlier, okay? So if you take all that stuff out, obviously the bolt will be lighter than the Crusader at 168. So what is that? This one was 191, so we're looking at a 23 grams. 23 grams lighter, okay? Are they completely empty? Yeah. Both plastic nozzles. So there's that. Same thing with the MP5. So let's see how much this stuff weighs. Everything's going to weigh the same. Pretty much just this guy's going to be a lot less than that one. So there's that collar. And the spring doesn't want to come out. But I'm pretty sure the spring is going to be 2 grams as well. So there we go. 64.2 grams of extra mass in the VFC MP5K bolt. Okay. So I'll go ahead and weigh that as well, just so we can see. So completely gutted, the VFC MP5K bolt is 154 grams, which is, was that 20 grams lighter than the Crusader? Yeah, about 20 grams lighter than the Crusader, okay? So, there you go. There's all the weights on these guys. Now, if you wanted to, you could, so you can run the Crusader recoil system on the stock VFC bolts, and you can also run the Gen 2 VFC systems on the Crusader bolts. So, here we have the, let's do this one. So, Crusader MP5 bolt, you can simply just screw in the buffer system from the original MP5 in here. So if you do that, let's see how much mass you'll have. So let's throw that back in there. And this is really just in case you know, you wanted to get like the heaviest bolts you can get if you want to maximize the felt recoil. So this will be the Crusader MP5 bolt with the innards from the stock VFC MP5 bolt, and we're looking at 293.3 grams. Okay, so as of right now, as far as I know, this is the heaviest you can get your MP5 bolt. Likewise, on the MP5K, you can do the same thing. Take this stuff, put it inside your Crusader bolt, and then you'll have the heaviest MP5K bolt. Okay, now what kind of upgrade is this? I wouldn't call this a performance upgrade because technically it could be lighter depending on how you look at it. But you can also run the stock bolts, you know, completely gutted, and they'll be lighter and they'll increase your rate of fire, probably decrease the felt recoil. I don't think it's going to change your FPS necessarily. So I'll look at these as reliability upgrades. These are future-proofing upgrades. And the reason I say that is because, let's see. So I guess I'll show you on this one since it's right here in front of me. I am missing the thimble in my MP5 blower, but I can show you anyway. So there are let's just go over the MP5K bolt really quick and talk about all the places it will break. Then we'll go over the MP5 bolt and go over all the places it will break or get damaged. Okay, so these stock VFC bolts, they like to break here, right where the buffer system threads into the top part of the bolt. These tabs, when you insert the bolt into the receiver, these little tabs like to break off, and when that happens, it'll wobble like that, like side to side, and cause feeding issues. Specifically on the MP5K bolt, because the front, you see this little section right here where it's where it's marked. It likes to smack the steel little fake trunnion inside of the upper receiver. This has happened to me. This is the third bolt. It's happened to me twice. So what happens when it goes in a battery? It smacks that steel plate. Eventually, after so many hits, it will start to crack here. The crack will work its way down the sides, down this side, and eventually this whole bolt head, the front of the bolt, will just break off. And at that point, it's obvious that the bolt's going to be useless. You're going to have to buy another one. Okay. Where else? It also likes to break down here. When you insert a magazine on a closed bolt, it's going to hit here where that little silver piece is, and right there. If you do that too many times, it's going to break this whole little section off from that little tip to about down here. Now, you can see how far that little piece should be, but when it actually, I filed this off myself, but when it actually breaks, it's going to break somewhere down here past that seam right there. So like right there, it's going to break that whole section off. Okay. Where else? So here, 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 here. Also, so your trip lever, this guy right here, this is the trip lever. When the bolt is reciprocating, you can see that it gouges this little section right here. It can also hit your the O-ring on your nozzle. So it likes to gouge this section right here, as well as the thimble. The thimble would be considered the ejection lever, but here it's just a thimble, and it controls when the how soon your valve knocker is released. I removed mine. The reason I removed mine is because on your stock bolts, they are made out of zinc, not aluminum, and that thimble is steel. And if you leave the thimble in there on the zinc bolt, it'll start to gouge this section right here and damage it, pretty much wear it away till it's kind of flat. So keep that in mind as well. This part will get damaged. I removed it on the MP5K, so I can't really show you. It's a little bit of marring right there, but nothing serious. So those are all of the places these bolts will get broken or damaged. All of those apply to the MP5 bolt as well, except for on the MP5 bolt, it doesn't go as far into battery, so you don't have to worry about breaking off the bolt head. At least it hasn't happened to me, and I haven't seen anybody's MP5 bolt head break off. So that's that. Okay. Now, that is everything on these guys. Let's do some shooting. I could probably shoot this real quick and show you the FPS or the rate of fire that I'm getting. So let me just put it back together real quick. I will run the MP5K, the Crusader bolt, how it came. So let's put that in there. Okay. So we got 6 rounds in the mag. I'm just gonna go ahead and take that off and put on full auto. Oops, sorry. Make sure that's in. And let's go ahead. This is gonna be loud. Alright, so we're looking at 15.6 rounds per second. Did pretty good, 289.4 feet per second. I'm using 3, so we're looking at 1.14 joules. Not bad. And then let's go ahead. I'm gonna put my MP5 back together. and I'll do a test with that one as well. So let's go ahead and drop in the bolt. This guy. Okay. Yeah, we got 6 rounds in here as well. Alright, let's see what we get on the MP5. We're on full auto. I've noticed that on the MP5, the Crusader bolt, the rate of fire is a lot slower, kind of sluggish compared to the original. I'm not sure why. I might have a leak somewhere, but I'll find that later. So let's go ahead and put 6 rounds through it. Might be loud. It didn't record the rate of fire. So let me try one more time. Oh, actually I'm out of BBs. But yeah, you could probably hear it in the video that the rate of fire on this one was a lot slower. Now, that's slower compared to the VFC MP5 bolt. So I might have a leak somewhere. I gotta find that. But yeah, that was just a quick look at the Crusader bolts. Like I said, these bolts are reliability upgrades in my opinion, because you don't have to worry about your bolt breaking, like I mentioned earlier, in all those spots. It's just future proofing. So I would say it's definitely worth it to pick these bolts up, especially if you're going to be running your MP5s hard. Okay.